and I don't need people telling me what to do because I'm bad at listening to that, right?
I
I
think
mean,
we
I
all
do
are.
need it. I need it, but it's
Yes, but it's a suggestion, and have the patience with their journey.
yeah. And there's lots of journeys, right? Yeah, buddy, you learn the hard way. I'm telling you. There's so many things with this. Like it's driving me nuts, the podcasting, but I love it. And I'm learning every day about how to do this and how to do that. And, watching a lot of videos, taking a lot of direction because this isn't like something that I've grew up doing but I thought first I started this podcast. I always say this, but I started this podcast to stay sober myself. Right. And I have to remember that was goal number one
Good for you.
because sure I could sit here and tell you till the cows come home that I'm doing this for everybody else but if I like that's a bonus of this and it's another reason why I started doing this podcast was to get the message out to people but I have to if I'm not sober and I'm sure I can't do any of that, right?
Exactly.
I can't carry I don't have a message to carry.
And you know what I'm seeing in that? What you just said right there? I'm seeing someone who's staying humble and not needing other people's approval,
Validation. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whether one person watches, 20 people watch, or 1,000 people watch, you're concentrating on your recovery, and
Trying
that's why
to.
you're doing it,
Yeah.
man. That's
Trying to.
amazing, bro.
I have to thank you. I have to remind myself though, like constantly, because you chase those followers, the likes, the fucking.
Oh, get
I
caught
could,
up in that.
I can monetize this now. Like, oh my god, like maybe I can quit my job one day, right? All these things start to come into your head, and sure, it's possible, but
1,000% it's possible. It's a law of attraction. It's the law of the universe.
yeah,
If I teach a lot of this with my clients. If you could see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. It's just like a relapse. When we see it in our minds, all of a sudden we got it in our hands. So why not the dream life?
mm, I
Because
love that.
it's not feasible. Of course
Yeah,
it's feasible. That's why you see it.
yeah.
That's
Relapse
your
was never feasible in my mind. Yeah,
but if your higher power puts something in your mind and you could see it, practice that every day. Don't practice it like it's in the future. Practice it like it's now. You're already monetized.
mhm,
It just hasn't come into fruition yet.
yeah.
It's law of attraction, brother.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Joe, thanks so much for coming down, brother.
You got it,
I
man.
appreciate you, man. I fell in love with you already. But it's funny, this recovery thing, we become, it says in the literature that we become fast friends, right? We have a common problem and now we have a common solution, right? And that's it. This alcoholism addiction thing does not discriminate. I've met lawyers, I've met homeless people in recovery, I've met fucking people that live under the bridge homeless, I've met people that are doctors, right? And it's skin colors all over, creeds, religions. That's the beautiful thing about this. It's like
Mhm.
a group we would normally not mix, but we found a common solution where it's like, these are all suggestions like we were talking about before, but I had a sponsor that would always say to me, these are all suggestions that I'm telling you. Kind of like, I suggest you taking a parachute when you're jumping out of a helicopter, right? Or an airplane. Oh, I love that, man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? How you ended up in recovery and what that sort of looked like before and after for you.
Uh, before I'm just gonna do a quick recap of growing up. Italian background, Italian culture. We started our journey Christie Pitts, ended up at Jane Shepherd. Um, my dad really didn't want me on the streets a lot. Very, very young age, he had me in hockey. Uh, I flourished there. Soccer flourished there. Home life was okay, but you come from an Italian background, you're always gonna like what I've noticed in my journey is there's a lot of narcissism
Mm,
in one parent. I'm not saying all of them, but what I've seen on my journey. And at a young age, it was always good wasn't good enough.
yeah.
Perfect was good enough, and even perfect had its flaws. So at a very young age, if I wasn't perfect, I wasn't trying. So I had to be perfect at everything, right? And even when I did great, it just was never good enough. So in and along that journey, I was introduced to a neighbor where we had a quick connection. Um, at a certain point, sexual abuse started at that, and it was just it was a very, very, very scary for me. Um, and just the way he had taken advantage of me, this gentleman, and then going home and then going back there, and I remember at a very young age, I must have been 8 years old. Our fathers, the man who was sexually abusing me, he was younger as well. they were all watching a soccer game, and he goes, come here," and he gives me this glass of wine, and I sucked it, but he goes, "Just drink it back," and man, oh man, like within like a minute or so, I was so numb that I wasn't afraid anymore.
Mm.
He didn't scare me no more,
Wow.
and so every time I had to go there, I'd go in my dad's cantina and I'd grab a glass of wine, and it was almost like I knew, but I didn't know because I was young, but I just knew it made me feel good. What it was, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
knew it made me feel good, right? And with some work that I've been doing with people, because what ended up happening was he he just cut me off, and I felt like abandoned and stuff. And it's the weirdest thing, right? And doing some work with this lady that is working with me up at the center through the nervous system regulation and stuff, which I didn't know, right? She says it was rejection for you. And it rejection followed me for a long period of time, which turned into people pleasing,
Yeah.
turned into everybody had to like me. And if you didn't like me, like 10 people could like me. If the one person didn't like me, that's the one I had to sell my story to. Right.
Yeah.
And, my mom, salt of the earth, like just, just taught us about God and about Christ and about how much he loves us and all that stuff. But in our culture, it's always do bad, go to hell. Do bad, go to hell at a young age. I was terrified of God, man. I loved Jesus, but I hated God. And I was trying to distinguish the both at a young age, right? So yeah, and then you know what? I got into organized crime at a young age. Um, I had enough of my dad. Uh, in and around my draft year, when my friends were getting drafted to go to the O and the NHL and stuff, I quit. Said, "I'm done. I'm done," and I just started an organized crime lifestyle, and it spiraled for many years after that.
Mm. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, this trauma theme comes up a lot with addicts and alcoholics, right? But you mentioned something that was interesting there is like you carried that rejection thing your whole life, right? How does that show up today and how do you work on it?
Hmm. Well, you know what? I'm learning a lot through nervous system regulation. I work with a psychotherapist, personally myself. The rejection part of it, it's ongoing. It's gotten better with the spiritual journey of understanding that we're all God's children. We're all not meant to be on each other's paths forever. Today, I don't set my boundaries like before, where it had to be take me, take me, take me, take me, put me against a wall, and then react and protect myself,
Yeah.
right? Because I didn't want to be rejected. Now it's more of we're just not clicking, and you're not understanding my boundaries right now, and you have to be put aside. I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance. We don't all get along. We don't all have the same path, right? Like my path towards my higher power and what he has in store for me has allowed me to understand that when I'm rejected, it's themselves rejecting themselves.
Mm.
It's almost that one points the finger out when there's three pointing back. And I've always been caught in that, right? So rejection is still something I work on, but I've gotten so much better. And a lot has to do with understanding the nervous system regulation. So our fight, our flight, our freeze, our fawn,
Mhm.
those are all character defects and characteristics that we use to protect ourselves at very young ages when the events happen to, I would have to say, if not all, most people in recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned a fawn at the end there. That's something I learned recently too. My
Mhm.
therapist is really good too, and she taught me the fawn. With regards to the nervous system regulation. Um, to me, the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the fawn is like you attach to said thing. So
Mhm.
if I have drugs are in my life and they're causing me a lot of problems, and I can't stop doing cocaine. Um, I sort of attach myself to it and it becomes like my love almost, and I love it.
Mhm.
Am I understanding that right? What
Yeah,
does it
we're
mean to
people
you?
pleasing. One
Yeah.
characteristic of fawning is people pleasing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of latching onto that person so that they'll
The person, the drug. We're trying to please to get pleased.
mm, codependent too, right? If you
Huge.
love me, I need you, Joe, to love me so that I can feel okay,
Yeah.
in my own
Yeah.
skin.
Oh, man, I love that.
Yeah, that was the way it was described to me. And I really related with that. I want to talk about spirituality, faith, God, higher power. There's so many ways we can go with this one, but
Mhm.
I think people, in my experience, hear the word God and they run the other way, right? because of whatever their upbringing, or oh, this is a religion, like I don't want to be a part of a cult, all this bullshit, right? And there's a huge difference I've learned between spirituality and religion, right? So what does faith mean to you today?
Well, I like what you said, how the difference between religion and spirituality, right? So for me, religion is a man-made thing. It's a business. Christ is my higher power. And Christ said it, you don't need to go to a temple to worship me. A lot of people go to church on Sundays, and as soon as they leave, they judge the world.
Yeah.
There's a message at the churches as well. I'm not gonna disrespect it in any way. That's their belief system, and great for you. But I do use a lot of the church and analogies to make people understand what we've been through. Because what I believe is addiction is in every single human being put on this earth. Because uh, higher power, God, universe gave us free will, right? Um, for me, I believe that out of all the addictions, the alcoholic and the drug addict, believe this or not, I believe they're the chosen ones. I believe we were the ones sent here, and at a very young age, that almost like you're watching a cartoon and there's the good guy and
Yeah.
the bad guy,
Yeah.
right? And where do we go? We always go with the bad guy, right? So at the beginning of any cartoon, you do that bad thing, your stomach's telling you not to do, not to do, and this guy's there saying, just do it, just do it. You get away with it. And then every time you watch something like that as a young age, you notice at the end they ended up being honest about what they've done, and they make good on what they've done. And then the angel comes and says, good for you. For me, it's that simple, a spiritual journey. Feel what's coming in you. Feel what's coming in you. I am not here uh to fix the world. I'm here to fix myself
Mm.
so the world can relate to what I'm doing. What I'm doing is what I've been told by faith. Be a good person, unconditional love. Understand that just because I don't know you doesn't mean I don't love you. One thing about recovery for me is in the rooms of recovery is I share this a lot when I do a lot of speaking engagements. I don't even know you and I love you. And you're still out there using drugs and alcohol. And I don't know you, but I love you because me and you are the same.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to what I mean by the chosen ones. A lot of people, we're going to use the Catholic religion, right? Christ saved the disciples. The disciples were alcoholics. One was Matthew was in layman's terms on our nowadays, he was a collector. He collected money, right? Then you had Mary Magdalene. She was a hooker, prostitute. You had thieves. You had people that were so broken from society, they were just shunned. And what did Christ do? He took them and showed them the way. Now, I'm just talking Christ because it's my higher power, but spirituality in general is like that. I don't judge a drug addict, whether you're on the street as a homeless person or you're in an office as a lawyer. I don't judge those people because I am those people. And that pain that we live with is there's not many people that don't suffer with alcohol and drug addiction that would ever understand because it's our pain, but then I pick up on your pain. And how do I help you release that pain? By working on my pain. And then we connect, right?
Yeah.
And in the rooms of recovery, it's instant family. We don't all get along, but we're instant family. Like anybody could call me in recovery. We might not got along. We might have skipped and fallen out of our journeys. But if they call me saying, I'm suffering, I'm gonna be there
Yeah.
because that's a human being and that's a child of the universe, child of God, w- child of light, whatever it is that you want to connect to. And that's one thing I think that separates religion from spirituality. I believe my personal experience, I'm judged the most by people in religion.
Mm.
When I've fallen along my journey, like you know what, it's easy to support someone on a journey of recovery that's getting to the gym, that's reading, that's doing great podcasts like yourself. Uh, it's easy to support that person. But the true testament of unconditional love is when that person falls down. And instead of saying, you're not supposed to do that. Well, thank you. Of course I know I'm not supposed to do that. That's where the love comes. How do I support someone that I can't agree with what they're doing and not understanding that they have no power to stop once they're in. like it's easy to support somebody that's
Yeah.
going to recovery.
I love that. You said a lot of good stuff there. I found that to be especially true, in my last relapse with my wife, right? Everybody, she was there in the worst moments, and I put that woman through hell, right? And it was a true testament of her character. And also, it helped that she was able to see what I looked like in recovery and working on myself, and that this was just like another road, a bump in the road, right? Albeit at the time it seemed like a mountain, right? Because we drag people through the mud, as I always say.
Hmm.
I also really liked what you said about changing ourselves and not changing the world. I spent a lot of time being, and I still do today. I can be this guy. I've heard this before. The sheriff of the universe, right? you know,
The director.
yeah, the director. You're not doing it. That's not how you drive. You're not doing it right. This is the way. Blah 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 blah. Right? And it's like, dude, I can simply put it as simple as this. I heard this recently. It was like that person. If someone pisses me off, someone does something I don't like, or somebody can't stop using drugs or alcohol in my life, it's like, right now, that person is simply not living in the way I would prefer. You know, they're simply not living in the way I would prefer, right? Whenever I have an opinion on something,
Hmm.
because I have a lot of opinions on things. You should be doing it this way. You should be doing it that way, right? So, I have to change myself, and you said I need to like get other people to kind of see what I'm doing and relate to me, right? I really like that. Um, what was early recovery like for you, and how did you navigate that? How did you get through that? Because I know the first bit for anybody can be really tough, right?
The early bits of recovery was me. It was it was just some time where I knew that something was just completely wrong because it was fun. At the very beginning, man, it was fun. Like escaping reality, not a care in the world, um, going to the clubs, vacations, living a certain lifestyle. Money is just no object type of thing. And something started happening where at night, sorry, not at night, the next morning when I wake up, I'm like, please, God, please, like, just, I want to stop.
Mm,
Like, I want to stop. I can't do this every day. And my mom being hurt by it. And I'm like, I swear to God, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And then 2, 3 days later, right back to the
yeah,
cycle. And it's like, I'm here again. Right. And I was angry at God at those times too, man. So when I would hear him, I'd be like, "Go just leave me alone,
yeah,
man. Like you didn't save me. I'm gonna save myself." And so as time kept going, I found it where it was like every time I was waking up, it was like, please just help me. Please, if you're out there, just help me, please. And you know what? Like now when my higher power communicates to me, because he don't talk to me, but he communicates to me. Like
yeah,
he'll put a stop sign with flashing lights in front of it.
yeah,
And nothing happens in God's world by mistake. So if I'm feeling a certain way and I'm seeing a freaking stop sign with flashing on it, I'm listening to my higher pinks go in the other direction, right? So in early recovery, I went to the rooms of recovery because I didn't want to use every day anymore. Just get me to Friday.
yeah,
Just get me to Friday.
yeah.
That's what my sick
Yeah,
mind
I
was
want
saying.
that old lifestyle back where I
Yeah,
was able to
I
control
want
it,
the
right?
fun back,
Yeah, the
right?
fun. Yeah, yeah,
And like far from it, because once that evil entity was just had all the power, the world I guess understands is that as the devil. I just understand it as the deep, deep rooted just pain and shame and guilt, remorse, and all that stuff that every time I was sober, he was telling me, that's why you need this. That's why you need this. So when I went to the first time in the rooms of recovery, that's what I was doing. I was doing it for that. And fast forward a couple years after 2012, 13, when I first got in the rooms, I ended up in treatment, 2016,
mm,
you know, broken marriage. I tried to leave the marriage uh, 2 or 3 times, not because she was a bad person or I was a bad person. I decided to stop living a life, and both of us just couldn't, you know, we weren't compatible, right? And then I finally just, certain things happen. I'm not going to get into her business, but I fell hard, man, hard. Like probably the worst I've ever felt ever, and then I ended up in treatment. And for the first, I think it was 7 or 8 days, bro, I couldn't get a word out, man.
Mm.
It was just
Yeah.
tears and tears and tears, and I had this one counselor, he came up to me one day, he goes, "Come, come." And I love how, like, when God communicated, just something happened. So he brought me on the side, and there was this beautiful field, and he's like, "Listen, man, you're a good guy, but if you're gonna cry every day for 30 days, you're gonna leave here and you're gonna go right back to using,
Yeah.
man. Whatever that pain is, start using it as a strength. It's Friday today. By the time I get back here on Monday, just tell me you've even spoke to 2 people. Just show me you've read a couple pages." I don't know what happened, bro. I do know what happened. He gave me the power, and I took it and I went with it, and man, oh man, like, I was talking to people, reading, writing, like, within 3 days, I went to the gym 2, 3 times a day. There was a huge shift,
Mind
man.
shift, mindset
Yeah,
shift.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Yeah, I agree 100%. My higher power, my God, I choose to call it God because it's easier, plain and simple, right? It's not this bearded guy in the sky, and that's me. It's this force, this inner teacher. A lot of people get scared about it, right? But it doesn't have to be what I say. It's whatever, it's just not me today, right? It's not me. Um, he communicates through other people. And that was a perfect example there where, the universe, this force is coming to you and saying, Joe, you got to change something here, right? Something's got to give, something's got to change. And it just came in the form of a counselor at that time, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I can give you a book of times where people have showed up in my life. And at the time, you don't see it like that, right? You're just like, oh, this fucking guy is just, wants his job to be easier. But, it's a message from the universe. It's a sign, whatever. You said the red flashing lights. Like, yeah, if you keep going in this direction, you're going to end up right back where, and that scared the shit out of me because every time I've relapsed, it's always gotten worse, without a doubt, no matter what. I've always picked up where I left off. I was doing new drugs. I introduced new things into my arsenal. I hung out with new people. I got closer to the fentanyl than I needed to be. Right, closer to death than I needed to be. Why do you think, to you today? You touched on it a little bit, but why is faith so important? Why is spirituality so important in recovery?
Because it's the thing we feared the most when we were in active addiction. You said something before, and I really liked what you said, how, everybody's as soon as they hear the word God, they run. Because the evil has so much power over you. Our souls really know that's the answer.
Hmm.
And as active addiction, and even sometimes having a hard time in recovery, we run from God because he's got more power over us. Call it your will, call it an evil entity, call it the devil, call it the devil of addiction.
Addict brain.
It's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
So wherever there's light, they've done a great job to say as soon as you hear the word God, and I empathize with people who hear the word God, especially like in the Roman Catholic thing, where it's gotten such a bad name of certain little things that have happened, which are very bad things. But the Roman Catholic Church has done what it's done. Again, it's a religion, man-made, none of my business. Um, but yeah, you know what? I forgot the question. Sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. Um, I like, I should have given you time to respond to what I was saying, but don't worry. I mean,
No,
at the end of the day, um, why is it like I came into recovery and every single person had a higher power that had clean time and had a lot of time, right? And was happy, like, why are you so happy? Right? Because they had this higher power in their life. Why is it so important that we get spirituality, get a higher power?
thank you very much. There we
No
go.
problem.
Because it's the trueness of us. It's us trying to recover the child in
I love
us.
that. Yeah.
A child is free before it's programmed by society,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, I'm 49 years old. I'm probably one of the biggest kids you'll ever meet. And because I do my best to enjoy life, I do my best to not get caught up in the whole, like you said it before, don't tell me what to do all the time because I'm gonna go the different direction. Like, I just met you and I could tell one thing about you. You have a pure heart. Your soul is beautiful and real,
Thank you.
and that's where That's where that entity doesn't want us to be.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, that's where spirituality is being open, free, loving, kind, understanding towards anyone of God's universe's creatures, because we're all here. We're all here. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And we're all doing our very best. Now, like you were saying, I could right away tell everybody how to write their scripts. You know, I think a lot of people, including myself, because I still have to do that work every day, if I'm judging someone, then I'm lacking something in me that I haven't worked on yet. And as the journey continues, I get caught up in that whole stuff too. I was having a conversation with someone this morning, and I was like, and my peace is my peace. And if you're going to keep these people in your life, and I don't want nothing to do with that, because my peace is important to me, and my peace, no one's allowed to come and take pieces of it anymore. But I'm putting this on someone else.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with them. Because they're close to me, my fear of losing them, rejection, is almost like selling a story because I want what I want. That's not spirituality, Joe. Spirituality is saying, this is why I choose to live this way, and I hope that you come on the journey with me. And if you don't, I'm still going to love you, and if you need me, I'm still going to be here when you need.
Yeah.
It's simplified, right? It's not always easy, but like the program says, the program is simple. It's not easy, though.
Yeah.
Choose your heart, right? Like staying in active addiction is hard. So staying in recovery.
Yeah.
We have to choose our heart. Going to the gym is hard. Staying home and eating donuts all day is hard. Choose your heart. Staying in an unhealthy relationship is hard. Staying in a healthy relationship is hard too.
Yeah.
It's work. They're both work. We just get to, as people that become more spiritually fit, we start to understand that spiritual journeys are not the rainbows. Spiritual journeys are the storms. We just learn how to navigate ourselves through the storm instead of sitting in it like we would in active addiction. Right?
And pretending like everything was okay.
Like everything's okay, because you know what? It's not raining on me, so give me another hit. Give me another beer. Give me another vodka, right? It's like,
or it'll get
how am I getting out of here? Well, the light's over there.
Yeah.
So that's where the gift of the spiritual journey is, right? But a man said this so beautiful one time. He goes, celebrate the top of the mountain when you get there. But remember one thing, as soon as you turn around, you're at the bottom of the next.
Yeah.
It's life. It's a journey. It's beautiful.
Everything has an end, right?
Yeah.
Every day has an end.
Yes, sir.
This too shall pass is another one that
I love that.
I think of when I, and it goes for the good stuff too. When things are going really well, like this is eventually going to pass, buddy. Enjoy it. Exactly. Yeah. Be grateful that it even showed up in the first place.
Yes.
I think about too. I talked with somebody on this podcast about he had lost his husband, and he had a lot of grief about it, and he brought up something that they teach in grief training, and I'm sure you've maybe dealt with this before, because grief is everywhere, right? But it's like you lost something and you're very emotional about it, and it's really affecting your life every day. You can't stop thinking about it. This grief is sort of surrounding you at all. Everywhere you go, you're being reminded of this person. He taught me that I should be grateful that I even had that relationship in the first place, right? The reason I'm feeling this way and so upset and hurt and sad about this is because I had so many good memories with this person. Not everybody gets that, right? And I should be grateful that I even had the experience in the first place, right? So it's a little bit of a mind shift, right?
Oh, grief, right? Grief's a process. Grief, like for me, I'm a strong believer as the 12 steps is not, it's not just for alcoholics and drug addicts. It's such a beautiful journey to take those 12 steps, because it's all inner work.
Yeah.
It's all inner work. And I love what the man said. And like growing up in a Catholic home, death was final. It was final. It was like, oh my God, what do we do now? What do we do now? What I'm really loving to see and respecting so much what people are doing is this celebration of life.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
It's a lot better than Italian funerals.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you don't suffer, that means you didn't love them.
Yeah.
No, because the truth, like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I've been to both. I've been to the celebration of life and I've been to the funeral. And it's like, there was a lot of good here. Let's talk about the good times and the memories that we had with this person. Yeah, no, you show some respect. Yeah, yeah. Oh man. It's true though. I mean, it's I should be happy that I had that in the first place.
Yeah.
Um what sort of daily habit like what is a good day in recovery look like for you? And I don't mean external things, but like Joe wakes up in the morning and I've had a good what do your dailies
I
look
love
like?
that question, brother. That's so awesome. Uh, my daily thing is, my daily routine is, and I'm not 100% at this, but close enough. I wake up, say my prayers. So I hit my knees, I say my prayers. I do a little meditation. I write 3 things I'm grateful for,
Nice.
and I get right to the gym. I get right to the gym. I get it out. Um, Majority of the week, I take my dog for a nice nature walk. Um, get home, make sure whoever's at home, w- like with my partner now as well, we've started where every morning we give ourselves 3 things we're grateful for in
Oh,
a
that's
text
great.
message.
Yeah, that's great.
And she
Yeah,
came up with it, and I friggin' love it because
that's
I'm like, I get
awesome.
to write my grateful, and now I got more things to be grateful for. And people need to understand that shift is a mind shift. So I'm just gonna go along, and then so I don't really I do a lot of fruit fasting stuff nowadays. So I don't really eat till like the afternoon, probably around like 5 or 6. Um, I go to work. I love what I do. I love what I do. It doesn't always work out the way I want it.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? When I see the aha moment, man, I don't hold back my tears. A lot of in the certain industry, they always say, you never show your emotions. I can't.
Yeah,
I
it's hard.
can't. What do you want? Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give the guy a hug. I'm gonna give the person a hug and say how proud I am of you.
Gratitude
Be
cry.
proud of yourself
Yeah.
because this is not the easiest journey, but it's very rewarding. Um,
Just to clarify, you're in the recovery space. You're working with new addicts and
yeah, yeah,
alcoholics.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's about it. I get to as many meetings as possible. Um, and I connect with a lot of people in recovery throughout the day, maybe 3 or 4 people throughout the day. Um, Send my home group a couple messages whenever I can, and yeah, make sure to have small little conversations with my kids when they're with me, and when I get to see them, it's nice being present for the kids, and I
Yeah.
get to see my mom, and my mom, she's so happy to see the journey I'm on, and old school Italians,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. 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 That's beautiful, man. I heard a lot of connection in there, and I didn't hear anything about your phone, so that was good.
I hate
I,
phones, bro.
I'm working on that. That's one of those things where it's like such an easy, quick connection, dopamine connection, right? And it's tough, but getting outside is another good form of meditation for me too.
Mhm.
For a while, I was doing a Zoom meeting that was a meditation meeting, and it was great. I got to get back into that, but before I start my day, I think that morning time is so important, right? Where we're kind of connecting with God, like you said. I definitely, the one thing that hasn't changed for me is the prayers, right? And for me, I'm not reciting any specific prayers. It's mainly along the lines of like, help me do the next right thing today, help guide me through the day, um, help me get out of my own way, help me get out of myself, help me practice humility, like just whatever's coming up in my life, and be honest. That's another one too that I struggle with is like, help me be authentic and honest. Because if I'm authentic and honest today, everything's gonna be okay, right? Things gonna happen. Life's gonna fuck me over, and shit's gonna happen, but you know like you said, when you're sober and you have the toolkit that you have, you can get through anything in life. And I've seen that. I've seen there's people that have been a testament to that, getting through cancer and all sorts of terrible, terrible things, grief and loss, and doing it sober. You know,
Mhm.
so it is possible.
Absolutely, it's possible.
What does your support circle look like with your loved ones, and what do you see a successful support circle looking like with the people that you work with too? And because I'm sure you see a lot of that, right? Really supportive families and not supportive families. I mean, that's been my experience in treatment centers.
I'm gonna be very honest here, okay? Please. And I'm being complete. Like, I always try to be as honest as possible without hurting people, but honesty and truth usually ends up hurting some people. I don't see, including myself, which my family absolutely loves me. I know that they will go to bat for me in a second, but I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to stop using drugs and alcohol because drugs and alcohol were my solution to my addiction,
Yeah.
right? So I went to the 12 steps. I took a spiritual journey. I went the self-discovery. Did I follow along the journey? Yes. Where was most of the judgment from the support people that I had in my life? Shame, shame, shame. Are they doing it purposely? Absolutely not. They don't their minds are programmed where if I do this, he'll stop, not understanding that I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So I don't find many, again, there are good supports out there. I find that when your community, whether it's a family, but the community does individual work on themselves and stops like support the beautiful recovery journey until they fall. When they fall, let's prounce because we didn't work on our stuff, but we don't have nothing to work on. It's a lot of it is put onto the alcoholic and the drug addict because we're the front page of the newspaper, right? So it's very hard to find unconditional support, like you said about your wife, like going through hell with you.
Yeah.
It's not easy to find humans that will self-discover themselves
Mm.
instead of just sitting there pointing the finger at us. So I find a lot of people in alcoholic and drug addiction recovery have a hard time finding true unconditional support when it's getting hard, when they're trying to set healthy boundaries that we're only taught from our sponsors and people in the community. Because for so long, our communities we lived in, our environments, our families, we're so used to the almost like how we're programmed. Like, I gotta fix everybody else. Everybody's trying to fix everybody else, right? So, one prayer that I never stop doing is God, show the ones that are trying to support us the light, like you showed us,
Mm.
because they deserve it just as much
Yeah.
as us, right?
Yeah.
So I just try to teach people to set healthy boundaries. I try to teach families to set healthy boundaries. If you're having a hard time understanding that, there's Al-Anon, there's Nar-Anon,
Yeah.
there's psychotherapists, there's I don't know, church gatherings. There's a solution everywhere, but the opposite of addiction is connection. We crave a connection. That's why we connect to that because we couldn't survive in the environments we were in. Not because the people were evil people. We grew up we're great people because of the people that gave us life.
Absolutely.
They have great hearts. They were programmed in a different generation than the one we're breaking today, where we're doing our best to wear our hearts on our sleeve, where so many times it was told, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't do that." So to find good supports in family dynamics, um, and this is just my opinion. It's not easy. A
Yeah.
lot of people leave treatment, go back home, and they relapse. They're
Yeah.
going to the same environment. People think people coming home from an addiction center are cured, yet they're going right back to the place that. And again, it's not just it's just everybody. You keep 5 drug addicts around you, you're going to be the sixth. You keep 5 spiritual people around, you're going to be the sixth.
Yeah.
So it's set your healthy boundaries and lead by example because it's hard for us to change and learn the trueness of what we really know is to be true when we go to these addiction centers and the 12 steps, which is be your true authentic self. It's hard when I'm trying to survive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to survive. So support systems definitely. My own opinion on it is support systems. Don't do the work for the addict or the alcoholic or the drug addict or the alcoholic. Do the work for yourself. And our journeys are not quick fixes like doctors give us medications or drugs give us instant gratification. Our journeys are one step at a time, understanding I just made a mistake, owning my mistake, and slowly going through it. There's a process in our journey.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And us as drug addicts, alcoholics, it's not even today. Today's already too late. I wanted it yesterday. And I get angry
Yeah.
if you could relate to
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. That was beautiful. And I appreciate you being honest about it because my therapist, she's in recovery as well. She says without a doubt every day, every time I talk to her, not every day, I don't talk to her every day, but that'd be expensive. She would pick up though if I called her because she's a good woman. But she says the biggest struggle she has is getting families to go to Al-Anon. That is the biggest. She preaches it on everybody because just like you said, there's an answer for us and there's also an answer for them too, right? And yeah, it's tough because how, I don't hold a lot of credibility coming out of treatment. I can't start telling people what to, I still today I
We
try
get
not to
caught
tell
back up
people.
in it.
I try
Course.
not to tell people what to do, but it's hard to come from treatment or, relapse or whatever and be like, you should go to Al-Anon, right? Or you should work on yourself, mom. Like that doesn't go over very well. The fuck are
How
you talking
dare
about?
you?
Yeah. Do you know what you put me through? I'm
Yes.
reminded often by my wife of
Yes.
what I put her through. It's they're on their own healing journey.
Yeah,
So to your point,
absolutely.
all I can do is change myself, right? A spiritual awakening, one of my favorite definitions in the literature is spiritual awakening is a profound alteration in my reaction to life.
I love that.
I wake up in the morning and I'm in addiction. This guy fucked me over. This guy did this. Don't you know I'd be successful if this wasn't happening, right? And when I get sober in recovery, it's like the world's not changing. Like you said, the world is not changing. Anthony's changing. Joe's changing. Oh, maybe this is happening to me so that I can grow. Or maybe this is happening for me and not to me, right? These little
I like that.
mindset shifts where I'm just like, maybe the glass is half full instead of half empty. That's all recovery is. And that when I first started this podcast, another thing I originally wanted to call it some sort of variation of altered perception, right? Because but that sounds like too much like using drugs. But we come into recovery and we get a shift in perception, right? It's a perception, a disease of perception. We get this shift in the way we look at the world, and that's what I try to do every day. Is like, if you're listening to this and you're, you have a loved one, because I get a lot of moms, and I talk to a lot of loved ones in recovery, right? And I did an episode with a dad that's has two daughters in one in recovery and one in addiction, and he did a great job. I'm gonna have him back on here. He's Rob. He's great. I got a lot of messages from that one where people were like, "Man, you made me think of something differently, right?" And that's all I'm trying to do here is like, maybe I should try that, right? And to your point, it's like, maybe I'm gonna work on myself a little bit instead of trying to change my loved one, because you can't fucking change them.
No.
Can anyone change you? Right? I'm sure they tried.
Not even God has the power to change me unless I go to him.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to do the groundwork,
Yeah.
right? Like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you carry the message of recovery today, Joe?
Treat others as you want to be treated. Just treat the world as you did when you were a child. And your life will always be beautiful. Because I'll see children look at a kid and say, "Why are you fat?" An adult will look at that like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
But the child means nothing from that.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
It's so true.
A child will push somebody, they'll push them back. 3 minutes later, they'll be best friends like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Because they have such light in them, because the programming hasn't not got in them yet. Just be your true, authentic self always. If you deep down inside know you're about to react to something that's going to hurt somebody, just don't do it. Preaching, not always practicing.
Yeah.
That's why I love our step 10, make that daily inventory.
Yeah.
Because we are not perfect beings, never will be. We are human beings having spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
Just be your true, authentic self. Be the child that you crave, like, be the child you wish you could be again. Just be that, man. Be that.
It's so fun.
Screw being an adult.
Yeah.
Like, be responsible. Do what you got to do. Like, go to work. I'm not saying go play all the time. But find the time to go out and play. Get off of your devices. Don't worry about the Candy Crush and the social media. That'll be there after. Preaching, not always practicing, because I get caught up in, why didn't that person like my stuff?
Yeah.
Right? Just search for the child, because I think that's the journey of life, is searching for that child in us.
Yeah.
Just be the child in you.
Yeah. I've heard that before, and it's so true. It's like, you just take any time. Even in the elevator ride on the way down from my condo on the way here today, I always notice children, because they fascinate me, right? It's like, and this kid, just no worries in the world, right? He's just thinking about the next, he's present. He's fully present. And if I could be a tenth of that in my day where it's just like, what's the highest floor in the elevator? Like, that's what he was worried about, right? He was worried about like how many floors are in the
Yeah, see?
building. And it's like, yes, like, but I don't notice those things unless I notice them. Right. And I noticed it today because I'm working on myself, and that's the kind of man I want to be, right? Is somebody that's always improving. You mentioned the daily inventory, because I don't know what I'm doing wrong sometimes, but if I take, an hour out of my day to look back and reflect and say, did I lie to anyone? Did I cheat? Did I steal?
Mm,
Did I manipulate? Um, did I cause harm? Right. Oh yeah. You start to, and like you said, progress, you practice progress, not perfection.
I love
I'm
that. Yeah.
never going to be perfect,
Uh-huh.
but the more I practice it, it's progress towards perfection. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm never going to achieve perfection, and that's okay, because we're human and no one will achieve perfection, you know? Um, but if I can just work on it every day, I'm going to start to change those behaviors, because they're not serving me, I'm pissing people off when I'm doing this stuff, and people don't want to hang out with me. And there's a lot of negativity happening when I'm doing those things. Right. So it's a beautiful thing that every day has an end and we have the ability to do better tomorrow. What's something, Joe, that you're most proud of since getting sober?
One thing that's coming to mind right now, which I've been working on, the ability the ability to choose my peace over anything else, whether it be my children, whether it be my partner, whether it be my family, whether it be friends. If you're coming to take pieces of my peace, I'm going to talk to you about it, but you're not stealing it anymore.
Mm,
Life for me, through that hell that I've had to live through for many, many years, where I'm at today, peace is so important. And to acquire peace, you must go through storms, I believe.
yeah.
But there's peace in the storm as well. It's the perception of it, right? Is it easy? Yeah, I'm sitting here right now. I'm having a great time with a beautiful guy in recovery that I love to death, and it's the first time I met
I
him.
know. Me
But our
too.
souls have connected somewhere along this journey for sure. Um, Peace, to acquire peace. Everybody wants to be happy, but you cannot be happy all the time.
Yeah.
You can only be happy because you felt sadness and vice versa. But to acquire peace doesn't make life always a joyous and free and happy occasion. It gives me the opportunity to say, sit back, don't overreact, choose yourself, separate with love and kindness. Do not ever say never, because things happen, people go, they come, they go, they come. But I choose today to not lose Joe anymore, because I'm too important to myself today. I'm the most important thing in my life
Yeah.
today. There's nothing more important than Joe today. My children are my world, are my world. My mom, my family, they're my world. But they don't have nothing if Joe's not number one to Joe.
Yeah.
Call it selfish, call it selfish. It is selfish, to be honest with you, it is. But it's a healthy selfish, because if I choose Joe today, I can only be the healthiest version of myself.
Yeah. And then everybody wins. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
If I could just finish,
Please.
I was speaking to you before about the law of attraction, right? And I think I was saying it to you. If you could hold it in your, if you could see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. If I give over a vibe all the time, a vibe, that vibe's coming to me.
Mm,
So
yeah.
if I could give love, 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 even when it's hard, love will come. Am I doing it for that reason? No, I'm not. Today I don't. I got caught up in life doing things and saying that he didn't give me back what I, why would he not do that? Everything I did. No. Today, if I do something, I do something because it makes me feel good knowing that I brought some joy to someone else.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope that.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you made me think about a moment. Yeah. So I live downtown Toronto, and this has been happening actually a lot more lately. I'm happy you brought this up, because I hadn't thought about this in a while. I've been reacting a lot to people. And I'll give you an example. One of my pet peeves is people that honk way too much in the city.
Mhm.
right? Like hold their horn, it's there for a hazard, right? And I don't, hopefully I don't start ranting about this because it drives me nuts, right? When you live in the city enough, you can hear it in your building, right? But so there's this guy the other day where just had a beautiful dinner for my wife's birthday. My parents came downtown and we're walking down the street. We got ice cream. Everything's good, golden. I'm happy. I got a new job at a treatment center. So that's like these good
Nice.
things are happening in my life. And the it's just it's beautiful. And I want to mention too is like for a long time in recovery, things weren't really adding up for me financially, right? And this is one thing I really want to preach to people, and preach is the wrong word, but I really want to get out there that sometimes you just have to wait a little longer.
Don't
Like,
leave before the miracle.
yeah, exactly. Don't leave before the miracle happens. Sometimes you just gotta. It's coming, right? The gifts are coming, and it's not like my life has changed completely, but I wanted to get a job at a treatment center, right? This is something that I really want to do. I'm going back to school for it too, right? So
Nice. That's amazing.
these things are starting to unfold, and it's because I stuck the difficult path. I trudged it out, and sure, it's only been 6 months again. Only I shouldn't say only. It's 6 months
Wow.
is a good, it's a good
God
amount of
bless,
time,
brother.
especially when I couldn't get 6 fucking minutes together. I couldn't, right? So anyway, so I'm walking down the street, things are going really well, and this guy's holding his horn. The whole street's vibrating through the street, driving me insane. I literally walk away from and this isn't me. I don't normally do this, right? And I start getting into it with the guy. He's got his window down. So I'm like, I'm going to tell this guy how he's doing, right? And how he's pissing me off. And I just lose my mind, right? And we get into it. And then whatever, he's embarrassed. He drives away. I'm embarrassed. And people in the street are now looking at me, right? And it's funny how it just kind of happens like that, right? It comes out of nowhere. But I'm not proud of those moments. You know what I mean? Like those are things that I want to work on. That's not who I am. And my wife is embarrassed, my family's embarrassed. And but this is something that keeps coming up and something that I need to work on. So, talking and doing this stuff and talking to people like you, it makes me realize that like I have an opportunity to work on these things today. I never would have even thought that was a problem, 6 months ago, 10 years ago when I first came into recovery. Um, or when I was in my active addiction, but it's a beautiful thing, man. It really is that I can put out good into the world. And so I look at that experience now and I try to do this on it. When somebody pisses me off, this is where I was going with this, sorry. But when somebody pisses me off, and it happens a lot in Toronto, there's a lot of tourists and stuff like that. If I just react with a smile, or you mentioned putting out good energy into the world, there's a little part of me that's like, I'm gonna get that back someday in some way or another. But also, exact to your point, I've never got into an altercation with someone ever in my life, physical or mental, verbal, where I felt better after. Never,
Oh no.
never. Even if I've been right, justified, people are applauding me, whatever. Then that's not happened before, but I've never felt better after that. Right? Never. It's never happened where I've made my point, embarrass the person, because that's usually what I want to do is embarrass the person. I've never felt better. So yeah, it's always ended up worse, is what I'm saying.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that question, and we talked about this in my treatment center last time because we had a counselor there that would always come in and complain about Tim Hortons, and this guy was like, he would he would complain that and this guy was very in tune with himself. He was a therapist, and he was honest. He'd go to the same Tim Hortons every morning, and the guy wouldn't cut his bagel all the way through, and it was driving him nuts.
Oh my gosh. I think I know what you're talking about.
Every single day. He's like, you have one fucking job, right? Just cut the bagel all the way through. It would drive him nuts. And he would always talk
He's
about
doing
this.
it purposely to me. It's all about me. He's doing it to me.
That's exactly what he said too, right? And I asked him one day, because I'm so interested in that too. It's like, why does that bother us so much because he embarrassed the guy or did something about it, right? Why? And so to answer your question, because I don't think it's what we were meant to do, right? In our DNA. It never feels good because I don't think we were meant to put other people down. Right? The outcome is never what we thought it would be.
Because God's in you.
Yeah.
I've heard people, and because of certain lifestyle I lived, I couldn't show, oh my God, did I really hurt him that much? No, but I went home, 25 years old, home, crying to God, please help them. I could not show that out there. I was so scared to show God out there.
Hmm.
I show you evil because he had the power over me.
Yeah.
So you feel bad because it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's not you. And it just, something rang through to me when you said that you attacked that guy honking,
Mhm.
which, oh my God, man, when they just like, it just honk.
Yeah,
like,
just like once or
right?
twice, right?
If I may, what I found from that was your wife's birthday, your parents come down, right? You're early on in recovery again.
Yeah.
So you're holding on to some things.
Absolutely.
And then how do I protect them now? If he's bothering me, he's bothering. I got to
Yeah.
protect them. You
Yeah.
went to protect your loved ones, brother. It's so beautiful when I could actually see it because I've done the same things, same things.
Yeah.
I will overreact even more when my loved ones are around because I have to protect them.
Yeah.
Right.
I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah.
Sorry, I might be wrong.
There's always a reason. I mean, it's in there for sure. There's something, and watch when I leave today, I'm gonna reflect more on that and be like, yeah, you know, there's a part of. I think there's truth in every bit of, you know. We subconsciously do things because we think it just pisses us off. Period. Right. But you're right. There's more to. I believe that too, and that's, you know, where therapy has brought me. I want to end with this, and I usually end with this on this podcast. If you could say something to a struggling addict or alcoholic right now, what would you say?
You are not your pain. You are your purpose. And I know if you're struggling right now, it's hard to see that. But you're struggling so much, I think, because you're afraid to let God out, higher power out. Let him out to keep letting him back in because you're worth it.
Beautiful. Well said. Joe, thanks so much for coming down,
man.
brother. I had a great time, and
Yeah.
I'm happy we're friends now.
Thanks, brother, for real. Next time it's an espresso.
Yeah, 100%. I got to get one in here, actually.
Thanks for listening. Please help us grow the channel and like, share, and subscribe for more content. The discussions and stories shared on this podcast are for informational and motivational purposes only. This content is not a substitute for professional medical advice, addiction treatment, or therapy. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please consult a licensed physician, addiction specialist, or mental health professional. You are no longer alone.